your arms fairly soft. No shoulder issues. Take your arms up long. Grab hold of each elbow with your hand and start to walk your elbows to the right. So just walking to the right with the elbows until you find that stretch on the left side of the body. And then we'll do exactly the same with the legs. They'll walk in the same directions to the right. And now we go further down the body, down into the IT band of the left leg. Now you'll notice that your left buttock tries to lift up. So draw it back down towards the mat, even if you don't take that walk so far. And to anchor yourself into this position, you can cross one leg over the other. Doesn't matter which one, just to anchor yourself in the position. And then we just are staying here for 3 minutes. There's one thing you need to focus on, especially in the shoulders. If you get any tingling, anything untoward happening in the shoulders, you may be compressing a nerve, so perhaps soften the arms a little bit. You can even pop the hands on top of the forehead, or you can bring the arms a little bit further down towards the side of the body, but you'll lose a little bit of that stretch if you do that. So just keep thinking about drawing the left buttock down. You're going to feel a nice little tug on the left hip. And again, down the left IT band, down the left outer thigh, into the rib cage. And now we're just going to soften into the posture. We're just going to let our bodies yield to this posture. And we're trying to find our edge. And your edge is, you're just simply out of your comfort zone. You're just finding that you're a little bit out of your comfort zone, but you feel that you can happily stay here for the time duration of this posture. You may want to focus on the sensations that are being created, or you may want to focus on your breath, taking this into a meditative practice. It's actually Mental Health Week this week, so I think our practice tonight is really to calm ourselves down a little bit. As we're coming out of all the restrictions of COVID, we'll probably find ourselves getting quite busy. But we really need to have some calm moments. And yin is the perfect opportunity to be calm, peaceful, and yet still opening and working the body. Just a couple more breaths. Then uncross your legs if they're crossed, and we'll walk the elbows back first, walking the elbows back, and then the legs back to the center line. Bring your hands down by the side of the bodies. Take your feet flat to the mat, and draw both knees into the chest. And again, have that little rolling around movement. And then we're going to do exactly the same on the opposite side. So feet flat down onto the mat, nice long legs. Arms up and over the shoulders, grabbing hold of the elbows. Take an inhale, and exhale. We walk the elbows to the left. And then once we've settled the elbows down, we'll walk the legs to the left. And again, that right buttock will probably want to lift, so Get yourself in a position where you can draw the right buttock down, and then we decide whether we want to stay here or lock ourselves into position by crossing one ankle over the other. And we can bring our observation to which side is happier to do this posture. Is there more intensity on this right side? Or is it a lot easier? So bringing your awareness to the sensations, being really focused in your practice. Be aware of your breath. And another beautiful way to calm us is to have silence. Your mind is drifting away, bring it back to the practice. Few more breaths. And then slowly uncross the legs if they're crossed. Walk the elbows back to the center line. Walk the legs back. Arms down by the side of the body. Feet flat onto the mat. And knees into chest, and have that rock and a roll again. Just really enjoying the rock and the roll. So the whole practice is really going to be devoted to the hips. You're laying on your back quite a while. You may want to have a cushion underneath your head if that feels more acceptable. And especially for the next posture, it may help you get into the next posture. Again, it's 3 minutes. Feet flat onto the mat now. Take your right leg up to the ceiling. And right ankle crosses over left knee. Now you want to have the top foot flexed, so you just push the heel away and have that toe pointing to the ceiling. When we open up the hips, we don't want the knees to be involved. So always keep a focus on how your knee is feeling. Now this is option 1, you're staying here, and you'll keep your left foot flat onto the mat. And you'll have a comfortable pillow underneath your head. Option 2 is you're going to lift up the left leg. You've already created a triangle. Your right arm goes through it and your left arm comes behind that left knee. And if that's a little bit too intense, take the left foot back down again. So just check out how your body's feeling. And then just breathe into this posture. So we're into the buttocks, the glutes. Your buttocks are also your hip flexors. So this is opening up the hip with external rotation. It's also into the hamstrings. I think you'll find you'll have some sensations in that right thigh hamstring. At the back, just spread across the mat. Now, if you want to be a little bit more intense, if you're not feeling it, if you've not found your edge, then hands in front of the kneecap, just below the kneecap, and you'll find that deeper edge. Once you've done that, check it out, see how it feels. You may get some pinching, so adjust yourself until you're comfortable to enable you to stay in the position. This is also a very good posture for those who have sciatica. Again, we just breathe. We're here for a few short breaths more. And then release the left foot down. Release the right foot down to the mat. Take both knees over your chest, have that little roll around. And then again, exactly the same posture, both feet flat onto the mat. The left leg rises to the ceiling, ankle over right knee. Option 1, you're staying here. Great posture, you're just staying here. Option 2, you're picking up that right leg through the triangle and round the back of the right knee, and you're staying here. And even if you do go to option 3, stay here for a while. Just let's not rush anything. Let's see how the body responds before we ask too much of it. So if you're not quite in your edge, in front of the kneecap with the hands, that's a deeper edge for you. Try to keep away from the kneecap. Just below the kneecap is a nice position for the hands if you're here. And remember that top foot is flexed to keep that knee joint in quite a nice alignment. And then we'll return to some silence. Again, if that mind tempts you to drift away from this practice, bring it back to focus on the sensations or the breath. Just a few more breaths. And then we'll bring the right foot down and the left foot down. And then again, knees into chest. We're going to have that little rock and roll. So the next posture is again quite a long hold. There will be modifications. It's not a posture that everybody will want to take. So again, it's going to be approximately 3 minutes. Your modifications, if you've got cushions, you're simply going to drop open the right knee, and you're going to have a little bit more of a restorative practice. You can also take it a little bit further up onto the bull's riff if you want to. Those who want to come with me, feet flat onto the mat. Take your right leg up to the ceiling, and either take behind the right knee and draw the right knee towards your right armpit. Or take your hands to the ankle and draw the knee closer to the right armpit. Or take your hands either side of the foot and again draw down closer to the armpit. This is quite a deep hip opening. Remember, you have lots of options. I have no idea what your hips are like. So only you will know what option you want to take. If you want to take the one with the bolster, that's great. Just have a hip opening in restorative. Remember, you can take your hand behind the knee and just draw the knee in the direction of the right armpit. You can travel down, up the leg, to the foot, and stay here. Now, those who feel quite confident in this posture may want to go deeper. So we'll involve the left leg. And we'll just simply stretch the left leg long away from us. And this is going to be more challenging. So take your options. You can always bring the foot back to the mat. Everybody is different. Everybody has a different restriction somewhere in their bodies. And with your yin practice, we'll just find out where they are without being critical. Just explore. The body does love to open up, but it likes to take its time. So we've already completed that 3 minutes in this posture. So release, change your cushion to the other side if you're using the restorative sequence. Bring your knees into your chest, rock and roll. Both feet flat onto the mat. The left leg rises to the ceiling. Hands behind the left knee. Draw the left knee towards the left armpit. This is option 1. Your option 2 is find your ankles and draw down a little bit more. And your option 3 would be to take hold of the lateral edges of that foot. You breathe and check out how that's feeling. And then if you want to, the right leg can become involved. We'll stretch the right leg long. And I feel a nice tug at the top of the right thigh here. Nice easy breathing. And again, we'll have some silence so that you can really focus on your sensations or your breath. And remember, come back to the practice if you drift away. Few more breaths. And then slowly release the posture, bring both knees into the chest and rock and roll. You may notice that the silence seems to be much, much longer. Interesting to note that silence is very precious. Bring your feet flat onto the mat. And we're going to roll over to come up into a seated position. So just rolling over now and finding ourselves into a seated position. Take your time, there's no rush. Those who are quite tight in their hips may want to sit on a cushion, and this will help you come further forward. This posture is going to be for 4 minutes. And because we're working with the hips, you may want to take the heels even closer to the groin. Spine issues, you know from practices previous, will keep your back quite long and straight. No spine issues, you'll roll forward into flexion. That's 4 minutes. So when we are in our yin practice, we can hopefully find some contentment and some inner peace. So today I'd like you to be focusing on Santosha. The Santosha is the second of the 5 niyamas. The niyamas are actions and attitudes we practice in our daily life. And Santosha is the practice of contentment. The feeling of being content with what we have. Often we hope for a particular result to ensue from our actions, and we are as often disappointed. But there's no need to worry or despair. Rather, we should just accept what has happened. And that's the real meaning of Santosha, to accept what happens in our lives. Instead of complaining about things that go wrong, we can accept what has happened and learn from them. The well-known yoga text, the Gita, teaches us not to look outside of ourselves for happiness, but to realize that peace and happiness lies within. In your yin practice, you can really bring yourself into mindfulness, into meditation. So yoga really allows you to find an inner peace and not be ruffled by the endless stresses and struggles of life. What will be, You cannot change anything. And worrying about it is just a waste of effort. So you've completed your 4 minutes. Bring your hands slowly to the earth and rise back up again. Knees together and nice long legs. You're just going to stroke those legs. Have a nice little movement in the legs. And we're going to take the legs wide. So nice and wide. Bring your hands behind you and lengthen up. So really lengthen up through the spine. And then we're just going to twist to the right. So just twist to the right. Have a nice little twist here. Easy breathing. And then come back to the center and twist in the opposite direction. Support yourself with your hands. And then come back to the center. We're coming into a forward fold. Sit on a cushion if you want a little bit more flexion. And remember, spine straight if you have spine issues. Hamstrings. You may want to bend those knees. They may ask you to bend them, or you can put cushions underneath them. Take an inhale here and exhale, rounding the back, going into flexion. You can have your props, lots of cushions or bolsters can be brought in for us to ease ourselves onto. So just enjoying sensations. Just check out your inner knees. We're stressing the knee joints a little bit. We don't want to stress them too hard, so just check out that they're feeling okay. If they feel a little bit too intense on the inner knee, bring your legs a bit closer together. And really bringing mindfulness into your practice. When we practice mindfulness, we're practicing the art of creating space for ourselves, space to think, space to breathe. So the mind may wander, perfectly natural, part of human nature for the mind to wander. But once you know your mind has wandered and you bring it back, then you're practicing mindfulness. You've completed your 4 minutes. Slowly we rise. Pick up the knees, bring the legs together. And again, another nice stroke of those legs. The next posture, will be somewhat in the arms and also in the hips, and you'll have options to do different things. So first of all, bring your hands behind you and just lean back a little bit and lift up your heart for the back bend. And then come back to centre, and again lift up your heart for the back bend. And then come back to centre. So we're going to lean back a little bit. We're just going to take that right ankle over the left knee. And if you want to make it a little bit more intense into the hips, you're going to bring that left foot flat. We're going to lift up the heart. I'm going to keep this foot flexed so we can protect the knee. Just lifting up the heart, so you have a little tiny back bend. And if you want to draw the left heel a little bit closer towards you, it's going to go much, much deeper into the hips. And just breathe and enjoy. We're not going to stay here too long because it's quite strong in the arms. Your arms are strong and flexed, so it's quite intense. You can change the position of your hands to see whether that means more accessible to you. Just play around with it. We're into the hips, but we're also a bit of a yang into the arms. Nice, easy breathing. And those with shoulder issues may want to do this on the back. You can always lay on your back and go back to that position. Now just a couple more breaths. Come on, lower your head. And then slowly we'll release. And again, those who have shoulder issues and find it too intense, bring your hands behind, left foot over, flex the foot, and the right foot draws in. You may have to keep it long. Just see how it feels, and lift up your heart. Nice, easy breathing. And again, you can always lay down if you want to. Just putting some strength in those arms and shoulders in this yang position while the hips are opening. The more you lift the chest, the more you're going to have that light back bend as well. A few more breaths. And then slowly we release. And again, just another little movement on the legs. We're going to lay on our tummies. Those who are fortunate to have a bolster, breathe in. If you haven't got bolsters, you can use your arms. You're in Sphinx posture, or you have your bolster underneath you. Let's take it easy for the time being. So, if you're lucky enough to have a bolster or cushions, let's take it easy. This is a back bend. So you can take away the bolster or the cushions if you want to and come into Sphinx to find your different edge. Bring your feet together. Soften the buttocks. Feel free to stay draped over your cushions. or be in Sphinx. Another option would be nice to draw the heels in towards the buttocks. This will increase your back bend. Tendency is to let our feet fling around. Let's just keep still if we've taken this option. Nice easy breathing. So back bends are very good for you. They're very therapeutic for you. And those who do have back issues, this Sphinx posture can be very helpful. But again, we always check out how our body's feeling. And we don't push it too hard. We just push it to an edge that is acceptable, and then we stay there. So there are those that may find that this is still not your final edge. So I'm going to take you into a posture called seal posture, which will be much more compression in that lower back. So finding little different options for different bodies. You're coming with me, you'll bring the feet down, you'll take your hands quite wide, so think about a seal, your hands are wide, and we're going to go back into those arms again. So you're going to lift up and lock the arms. And you're going to focus on keeping your pubic bone down on the mat. So you've really got deep compression in the lumbar now. And if it's all a bit too much, you can simply just come back to the previous posture, the Sphinx, or do what Malcolm was doing, and maybe your cushions or your bolsters. And you can even lift up those ankles to really maximize this if you wanted to. It's very tough. I'm going to keep mine down. But even with your draped over the cushions, you can bring your ankles up towards your buttocks and see how that feels. It'll just give you a little bit more of a back bend. And if you're in the seal posture, you're feeling quite a lot of stretching going on in that front stomach area. And your arms will be probably aching around about now. Now this particular posture, seal posture, as you become advanced in yin yoga, you can actually stay in this posture for 20 minutes. I've not tried it, but Bernie Clark, who is the founder of yin yoga, says that you can, but I've not tried it yet. I'll find it out. A couple of minutes is more than enough for me. So we're all going to take the same counter posture, and we'll be laying on our tummies with our hands underneath our foreheads. So just roll down, move your props, hands underneath the forehead. And you can slide your right knee along the floor towards the right elbow and gaze in the direction of the right. Up. This is a nice decompression of the work we've just done in the spine, so I'm hoping it should feel quite comfortable. And then we slide that leg back, and we'll just do exactly the same with the opposite leg. We'll draw it up and we'll gaze to the left. And slide the leg back. We're just simply going to roll onto our backs. Bringing your cushions with you if you need them. They're going to be placed on the right side of your mat. Going to finish the practice with a little twist. A very gentle twist, so arms nice and wide, as if you're on a cross. We're just going to drop the knees to the right, maybe onto the cushion or maybe onto the floor. And feel free to have your head in any direction that you want, left, right, or facing to the ceiling. I want you to think about all the wonderful things that you have in your life that really make you content. We often find ourselves complaining or being quite negative. And yet I'm sure there's so many beautiful things in your life. But if you do have negative thoughts, you can bring the mind back to positivity. A beautiful way of clearing your mind would be simply just to take a walk in nature. That's amazing the benefits you'll feel when you come back home. Even if you don't fancy having a walk, once you've had the walk, you'll feel so much happier. Move the body, calm the mind. A few more breaths. And then slowly roll onto your backs. Bring the knees into the chest and have that little roll around. Feet flat onto the mat. And drop the knees in the opposite direction. Just to bring calmness to the mind. Sometimes it's really nice to have silence, so think about switching off mobile phones, your TVs, your radio, all the stimuli that we have. Switch it off. Maybe even driving the car without the radio on. Just switch everything off and be calm and peaceful in silence. So bringing the feet back to the center, draw your knees into the chest, cover yourselves with a blanket, maybe pop some socks on, and then return to Savashana. Feet flat onto the mat, long legs. You can take your cushions or your bolsters to pop it underneath your knees if it feels more comfortable. I'm just going to rest in Savashana. So bring your awareness to the whole of the body laying on the mat. Whole of the body. If you prefer to sit in a meditative position, feel free to sit up. Bring your awareness to the shoulders and allow the shoulders to soften. Allow the arms to relax. Whole of the spine. Be aware of the breath. Chest and belly rising and falling with your breath. Be aware of the buttocks and the hips. The thighs, knees, the ankles, and the feet. Whole body, just letting go. Take your awareness now to your beautiful faces. Each face is unique. There is only one of you. Bring your awareness to the space between your eyebrows. Breath entering the nostrils and leaving the nostrils. Be aware of the jaw, any tightness in the jaw, let the jaw just soften. Tongue in your mouth. Whole body entering into peace. But please stay in silence, either laying down or in meditation.